I join.
I know he's asking us should we cancel? It's like, yeah, sure. And then he's not here. Okay, SIG release meeting for May 1st, 2023. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, Stephen.
So, yeah, so the topic that I had that I wanted to discuss was we have these we are starting so we have these functions and they are in a let's say a multi or in a mono repo. So you have various, let's say, functions that would need to be built, let's say, independently. I mean,
Okay.
so they have their own Docker file and so on and so forth. And
Okay.
and the question is, how would we set this up? I don't know how Kubernetes does it. How Kubernetes does it, because you would have multiple Go mod files, basically, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
what I do,
because it's independent image by itself, right? So they all function.
Yes,
so
but
you right now you put them all into the same repo, I'm guessing.
yeah, that's the idea, because so for example, we have Nephew, right? So Nephew project / Nephew, so they are there. But we would have the same with the controllers at the end. You will have the same problem with Free5GC, I think. Because if you have multiple controllers, you don't have a repo per controller, right? So you probably will have
the management cluster, the management cluster controller, you mean. So yeah, so I mean, repo and directory doesn't matter. So you can create directories that is its own workspace for Go, and then you can still build its own independent thing.
So that's what I did. So I use Go Workspace. So I'm just wondering, what is the right approach for this, or what would be the right way to set it up? See, we have more people joining, which is nice.
Yeah, kind of a late day to go to a daycare center. Yeah. 10,
so what I personally always do is I use Go Workspaces, right? And then, but Isti was saying that GoSec, so the thing that we are using, has a problem with it. I don't know the details yet.
Oh, okay. Really?
So is the problem that since we are having everything in one repo with different Go mod files, and then obviously we need one Docker file for each function. That is our end goal, right? So,
yeah. That would also be true for controllers. So it's not, I think, specific to functions, but it's
no. I mean, we did well. I don't think we did Docker uploads, but then we did do like everything packed into POCs at one point. A lot of stuff were packed into Nephew-POCs on the same repo. At least 2 or 3 controllers were from there. So I think even during the ONE summit, right?
Let me see how we did it. And it's worth to look at it. GitHub.
Yeah, I think both the Free5GC and the 5G core controllers, I think, are in the same repo.
And so this was which repo? So this was POX,
POC
right?
with an S, yeah, POCs.
Nephew POX, okay. And then we had the operator, and we had the controller. They all had their own Go mod file, and we did not use GoWorks. But there is no, so that the difference here is that today we have a main Go mod file. So at the moment, what you did is in the main repo, so in the root directory, there's no Go mod. Whereas today.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Oh, someone put that on there? Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because we have this. We have our own function, but we will use the libraries that are in the main repo. So it's the function is independent, but it uses libraries that are in the Nephew repo. You see? Yeah, I can show you what I do myself, right? So that's one difference that I see, is that there is no Go mod file in Nephew POX. There was no main Go mod file.
No. So it was deliberate, because if you remember, the one with no S was created by John a long time ago, and then I wasn't able to zip it in until unless I restructured the whole directory. That's why I created POCs just for that purpose.
Right.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Yeah, so it was built with the purpose of not having any root directory stuff other than directories. Yeah.
But for us with Nephew, we have a bunch of libraries, right, that are in there and that we are using all over the place. But then we have this function which also sits there that wants to use the libraries, but wants to also have its own independence, if you will. So the way I personally solve it myself is always with Go Workspaces.
Oh.
So that's for me, that's how I resolve it. But Isti said that there is an issue with the GoSec, one of the Brow jobs that is running is complaining with it. But for me, the first question was, I mean, getting rid of the main Go mod file, we cannot do.
Okay.
Unless we put all libraries into a separate repo. So we have to restructure the whole thing.
So
how does Kubernetes does it? Do you know?
So
Does anyone
just
know?
one basic question. Obviously, I'm not an expert in it, so I know it's, all three of you. So essentially, we are. So can we control how many binaries we build and how we package in the make file?
So what I do, yeah. So what I do
obviously
typically
we
is
need different binaries, right? We obviously need various binaries, and then once we generate various binaries and then have the make file, control the make file maybe, and then build the Docker files. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so I can show you what I do myself, how to get around this problem. So maybe I should share my screen or not.
Yeah, go ahead. But you're saying the problem specifically is Prow jobs instead of any build problem?
No, I mean, see, the first thing that so this is a repo that I use myself for testing these functions, right? So what do I have? I have a main Go mod file, right? So this is just my own repo with package examples, right? So these are, and there are a set of libraries here like these, like in package. So there is kube object, there is NEDI. So there is a few of these that are sitting here, right? Okay. And then you have the independent function like these. So like the interface function has its own Go mod file, but uses some of these library elements that are sitting here. You see? So what do I do to solve that problem? I use Go Workspaces basically. So I have a Go mod file, I have a Go work file where I initialize each of these independent functions, right? And then in each of these functions, I have its independent Go mod file that also references the main repo because I'm using libraries from there. So that's how I do it. So I replace this. So I basically say for anything that is in this directory, go to this subdirectory. So that's how I do it myself.
Is it so Prow has a problem because it doesn't have a relative directory structure when you want to build?
I don't know the exact issue. Issue raised it, but I haven't really got into the details. So one thing what I was trying to do is I was going to submit because my interface function is ready, so I will submit it and see what the issue is. Then I can see it myself. But my first question was, is this the right approach?
I actually never use any Go Workspace, so I don't know if Bala and Victor has any experience of that. So I never done it, so I don't know what the.
Me neither. Like obviously, it's like a new concept that I need to investigate a little bit more.
Yeah, same here.
Do we know how Kubernetes does it? So I was just looking at Kubernetes. What is it? It's Kubernetes, right?
Yeah, Kubernetes. But then there are a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, but I just wonder how they do it because they must have a similar issue, right?
For sharing pieces of root directories and then propagated them down to all the other things in the subdirectory.
Do they do that? See, they have a Go mod file, right? They have a main one.
But you know what? They are trying to move things from
Yes,
that
I know.
Probably.
Yeah, they are splitting it up, right? So it's maybe not the right.
What about like
approach,
the
but
plugins? Do they reference to the top things? Oh, that one doesn't even have Go that much.
no, I don't. I don't think they have this issue because for them this is kind of a big library, right?
Mhm.
I have the feeling. So let's see whether
Maybe
there's a
just
Go mod file.
on their case, maybe they just use the top one and then never really.
Yes, there is nothing inside. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything, but that means that our repo. I think we have two options. Either we use this workspaces, which seems to, but it's fairly new as well, by the way. Yeah? So it's not. I mean, new since I think 118 or something, or 16. Yeah, 118. I thought. I'm not 100% sure. But that is. I see two options. Either we structure the libraries that we basically have. Nefio is basically all the library stuff, right? And then that everything that consumes it is outside in a separate repo. And we do a structure like we did with the POX, right? So where you don't have a Go mod in main, in the root, and then you have a Go mod in each of the things that need to build, right? So that's option one. Option two is that I see is do this Go workspace stuff. And maybe there is other options, but these are the two that I see.
Yeah,
what I
the
can
library,
do is
are the library something you expect someone outside of this repo to be using? If it is, then it should be in some sort of common library.
So today they are. So most of these libraries are from the function in the specializers, right? But they are built in such a way that they could be reused by other components. So, for example, the specializer controller uses it, but also the functions use it. You see?
But then all those codes are still under Nefio.
Yes.
Okay.
So I pasted the link, but I know that's very common way of doing it. But looks like the challenge we have is with, like Wim, you said, because of the multiple mod files.
Yeah, plus so it's not the multiple mod files, but also one in the root. So a root. So if you look to Nefio right now, it has one in the root. So it's the combination of those two that creates this problem. Nefio here.
Yeah.
So we have a Go mod here, right? And I think IST's PR is one of them. What is it, DNN function, right? If you look to, he has its own Go mod file. You see?
Yeah.
Wait, is that correct? No, yeah, he created Go workspaces. You see, so he did the same as I did because that's what how I solve it. And
that's the root one though, right? This Go.work.
Yeah, but wait. So what you have to do is you have so you have the main Go mod file, which is this one. Then you have to set up a Go work, which is a workspace one, right? And then you have a one in the function itself, which you consume, right? Now, if you look to his PR, what is the issue? So you can see is there is an issue. I don't know. So this works. Okay, I suggested it. Did he change it recently?
Oh, I don't know. Pass all of that.
I add Docker file in separate. Okay, he did that probably during the so 3 days ago. So
I see.
The question fixed GoSec errors. Okay, so what is this? Okay, so this was issues on his side. But this is potentially, so then this Go workspace is potentially a way to do it. The question is this how we want to do it? Yeah, so these seems to be more issues on his side.
Mhm.
Should we try it with Go Workspaces? It seems
Yeah.
that he got through, it seems, in the meantime, so that's a good thing.
Mhm.
But we don't want to mess up the whole thing if that's not the right way forward. So that's a bit the reason so I wanted to raise it as a point of attention because it's not.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Go Workspace to see what it is. But then I also, the problem is GoSack is complaining.
No, apparently he got, so you just saw that his
Yeah, but then before
he,
doing this fix, the original problem was because GoSack was complaining about something.
yeah, there was something that it didn't like, but it goes, I'm not sure what the real root cause is. I never was able to dug into, but right now he set up the Go Workspaces as I was, so when you see in his PR, and he doesn't get any GoSec issues, right?
Yeah, I think he
Because
did a separate PR for that. I don't know the details, Stephen. I think he rerouted the PR to fix the GoSec issue.
Yeah, but that was there was an independent issue, but that was still another thing, Bala, right? So that was yet another thing.
Yeah.
That was something that this is really related to the Go Workspaces and stuff like that. So if you look at this file, you see here that he probably added. So you see he added the Docker file. He added his own Go mod, right? And he added okay, and then I think you will see later. These are tests. In this case, he doesn't have a Go Workspace yet. And then I think here he added a Go Workspace. In my view, fix Go sec errors. No, lib test lib. So that's still a different thing. Yeah, I don't know exactly what he did. Where did he add Go Workspace? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll talk to him, but yeah. So the question is, if we, yeah.
Well, when we have to understand the problem first, because we don't know. We don't know
but I think there is two things. Is either is there still an issue with GoSec, and is it related to Go Workspaces, right? So that's I'll submit my interface function this evening, so I will find out whether
see if you have if you have a GoSack problem yourself.
He added in the last commit, use newly, that one. It is
this one. That's when he added the Go Workspace. Okay, yeah. So it's fairly new because he had an issue last week. That's why so it's basically the last one which came in today, right? Yeah, so he just did that. So that's which was the way I do it. But yeah, so I don't know whether this is the way forward.
So, but one thing is also, I would suggest probably we should also ask John, because he suggested we can put everything together. And obviously he would know at that point of time about, he would have the need to create multiple binaries with multiple mod files. Probably we can also take his suggestion once.
Yes. There was a thread with John on it on the Slack channel somehow, where I suggested to Go Workspaces. And what was John's reply? But we can raise it again to him.
But I like your idea, Wim. Probably you can push that PR with the interface PR as a draft PR and see how it's going to behave with Pro and stuff. You can understand.
Yeah, then at least we have a second thing, right?
Right.
Here.
Yeah.
So this is, I think. Is this the one? No, that's not the one. Go workspaces. Here, this is what I wasn't aware of this. See, this is the thread, right?
Yeah.
Sounds useful, but that's all he said.
I'm voting you removing, what is that? He says something, if you write that. I'm voting for removing
Go mod file, but so this was before I suggested go workspaces. So the problem that, in my view, you cannot really remove it because you need it somewhere else. Right? If you look to the repo, right, of Nephew, right, in general, if you look to the code, see what you have is you have this go mod file, and then you have here a bunch of libraries, right? See this condition SDK interface, cap file, blah 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 blah, right? So that's one, and then we will have at the moment the idea is here we have KRM function, and then it called function, right? So they will use these libraries. So in other words, if you don't have a Go mod file that contains these libraries, you cannot import them. So either you have a Go mod file of each of these independent. You see the problem, Bala?
Yeah.
So
I think based on everything you showed, Wim, I think the solution you're proposing is probably the best one if it works in our CI/CD.
Correct. Yeah, that's the main question. And I was just looking to see whether people had experience here and whether there was any advice for it. Because I think if you look at Go workspaces, when did it introduce? I don't know.
118.
Yeah, 118, right? So it's not so. Yeah, it's not. I would say. I mean, 118 probably is used, but the question is whether this feature is used.
So when the other alternative could be create separate repos, like.
Yes.
No, that's a bit far-fetched at this point of time.
Yeah.
We have moved too much in this direction, Victor.
No. I'm just trying to analyze.
Oh, but we could still do it. I think, Bala, because the functions are not there, right? So it's basically what creates the issue is the functions. So we could decide to say the function go into a separate repo, and then this becomes a library. You see? But of course, we have to set up the repo, set up PRAO. It creates a whole bunch of other challenges, of course. But it's I mean, it's still, we could still decide to do so if we have to, is what I'm trying to.
Okay.
But yeah.
True. I mean, the reason I think we went with that thought first, right, man? I mean, we discussed the two possibilities, having separate repos versus having this. I think then probably we voted on this. I mean, basically, this is John's suggestion was to have
single, as little as possible, as little as possible.
As little as possible, yeah. Probably I would. My mind is probably you should make it work.
As we have
what
it right
we
now.
have. If we obviously, if we cannot make it work at all, then obviously, we had to take a step back. That's fine.
Okay, so I'll do a test with the interface function today, right? And I'll let you know. And then I think it's probably good to have some people with experience here, because what for me is weird, weird. Kubernetes doesn't do it. Which for me is a little bit because that's one of that would be one of those repos that you say. I was expecting they had the similar issue.
So how do they do it then?
See, they only have a Go mods main file because I was just searching. So this is the Kubernetes repo, right? Yeah. So I was just searching here for a Go mod file, right? Go.mod. And what you find, so you don't find a Go mod file anywhere. Oh, yeah, that's not correct. Yeah. Staging source. This one is a Go mod file. So they do something similar here, you see. So this is a separate, similar way of, but they don't use Go workspaces as a whole. They do it relatively within the Go mod file. Basically, that's what Go workspaces basically is. So you see here, they do a relative directory from where they are sitting, without using Go workspace. If you look to with Go workspaces, if you look to the Go mod file, you do something similar here, right? So you say replace blah blah blah, but then you also do in the main one, you make these Go workspaces use these interface. So I'm building from main, I'm building all of these functions from the root. You see? So I can build all my functions from the root. So they could have dedicated tools that each do their own builds within their subdirectories, right? So that's.
Yeah, I think I found one more link. I think they're doing something similar to what you're suggesting.
Go.work, do they have that, right? Because that's the file. No, they don't have that.
Yeah, I just put a link. Probably they're doing something similar what you're suggesting.
This one?
In the chat, yeah. They're replacing the modules. And
yeah, that's kind of
that's usually
one element.
That's usually
that's
the go mod hack or something, if you will. If you're
yes, that's the Go. That's the hack. Yeah. But you even have to do that in workspace.
We usually do it because we haven't checked in the library yet onto the main repo, so we just kind of point the repos into our home, our local directory or your own personal GitHub, and then making sure that once it's checked in, we have to get rid of the lines. Yeah.
So the question is, do we only do this? Let me look at only doing this, right? Without Go workspace, without the full Go workspace in the root, and see whether I can get it to work.
yeah, I mean, also if you scroll down a little bit, there is a comment about Go workspaces. Not if you scroll up a little bit more, just to the original question.
Up here.
Yeah, to the comment here. The final one of those comments, if we say it's possible, but not before the third answer. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, actually. Multiple modules in the same project should be possible, but not before Go.8. So I think they are also some of them. For what I'm saying is what you're doing is probably the sound solution for this. I think probably we should try to see if it works.
So the full workspace stuff,
yeah,
or only the replace?
Yeah, full workspace. Yeah, full workspace. I think, to me, I mean, obviously not knowing that, but just learning that from you, it looks like this is one of the purposes of that feature.
Yeah, the feature is built for this particular purpose.
Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah.
So, and then it's I mean, it's at least there for some time now. I mean, it's going to be. I mean, probably we can make use of it.
Okay. So let me see whether how I end up with this, and then if it works, then we take this forward. Yeah. Okay. So that was the topic.
Yeah, I think if it works, I mean, it's not only the function like you said, Wim. This is our bulk of our code is there. It is going to be useful for that. And I'm pretty sure this will be used for. Do you have the same problem in the on the workload side too, Stephen?
Workload.
Because we
At
have
the moment,
we don't because we don't have a root directory Go mod. But then Free5GC also has Okay, so we don't have multiple controllers on Free5GC, so it's a single build.
For all the three.
Yeah. So when you do a Docker build, Docker push, it's basically the same. It's the same binary. So all the controllers get bundled into a single operator binary that goes out. So when you do a build, when you do a Docker build, it would basically just build one Docker image off of the entire Free5GC operators.
Okay, so basically that is all the controllers and the operator together.
Yeah, yeah. But they practically speaking, they basically just share the same code. Well, actually no, they each, the controllers directory. So the main directories under controllers, you write different controllers. The main directory has its own go.mod. Yeah, we haven't had a case where they need independent different stuff yet. At this point, they're so similar that it's actually not. Yeah, it's not a lot of things.
Okay.
Over there. Yeah.
That's okay, but the thing is, when this will be used for all the management cluster components, and then in case probably in case
Let me see
you change
how,
something
because
on the workload side in the future, it will be useful there also.
it's up KPT, right? I think they have a similar setup. Go mod. So they have go mod. Wait, is this KPT? Yeah. And I think Porch is in there somewhere.
Yeah, Porch is under Porch.
Yes, so they have their own go mod file here, I think. You see here? But they use, see,
They
okay,
replace
they
offline,
use
yeah.
workspace. So this is the
Oh.
old trick to do
I
it.
see.
So they have, and then they probably here there is replace. You see this
Yeah,
whole
replace
replace,
everywhere,
tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
It's similar. But they don't have the go work.
No.
Just going the article that I shared, like the last portion of that article was saying that the committee doesn't recommend to share the code.work file. So just go to the best practice, which is at the end. Oh, yeah. So basically, they are saying like is the preference is included in put it the go work as part of the ignore file. So
It is used for local. It's just for yourself. Yeah. Okay. I see. That makes sense.
yeah, probably that's why it's going to be a little bit hard to find examples.
That's what I see. Is I see most of the people doing this replace stuff, but not the go work. Okay, but that's so that's what I also. So what I will do is avoid the go work and see whether it works, right? Like that, and then. It seems this relative replace stuff is being used in various places, right? So that's safe, or at least that part seems to be okay, right? If kept is using it, so kept is using that here, right? You see, in Porch.
Yeah, they're using replaced.
Yeah, and then you see it also in Kubernetes, it was used.
Okay, and then probably that's the same example in the Stack Overflow, right? That is they are doing.
Yeah, here there's all this replace you see here, so they use that, but they never use go work. So that's what's the part, and I do agree with you that this is actually more for yourself to make your life easier. So so in my case, this part I use in order to build myself all these functions, but you don't have to do that for you, right? So, okay. So what they suggest is only this part. So this piece seems to be okay, but the go work we should avoid. So, okay, I will try that, and then
yeah,
that seems to be used.
I was actually thinking slightly differently. I mean, I know this will work, right? I mean, we have two ways now. One is the go workspace and then doing the straight replace. Say,
they're complementary to each other. Eh? They are doing together. You need them. Wait, so the replace you need anyhow, right? Even with go workspace. Right. So if you use go workspaces here,
yeah.
But this is really the way I see it also, or how I use it is really convenience capability for me. Yeah? because it allows me to build all of these things myself as one big thing, right? And I have and this one summarizes it all. You see?
With the workspaces, right?
Yeah, so what they suggest is not to check these files into the root. So you can have it locally, but don't check it in.
Yeah.
I'm
We should probably do some more research as to why that is the case, right? So do they say
Why?
that somewhere in?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, why that doesn't make sense to me. Why it's not a. So you're gonna lose it next time somebody checks it out. So what?
No, what you don't get with it is that you are not able to. You have to. It's the local environment that does that. It seems, right?
No. The
Wait,
thing is, you
let
have
us read it. If
you cannot share
have
it, right? The whole idea is to share.
it will use your Google by default unless you
Well,
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
maybe because I mean, any other like has like a different. I mean, for example, like developer A can be working with some different versions, so they can point to binaries which are located in the GoPath library. I guess I just guessing. So, but yeah, maybe we need to investigate a little more about this.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, probably is this article's intention? I'm not sure what is the intention of this article. This
It introduces workspace. The whole.
yeah, it introducing workspaces, but maybe this article thinks that it is only needed for development environment and not the product. If you go all the way down, the last statement made me think. Yeah, the warning though, if you do happen to push your Go work file, it looks like if you run Go build, it will use your Go work file by default unless you explicitly turn it off. This could lead to production builds having development code in and so I think I have a feeling. Yeah, we need to read this article. What is that the point this article is trying to convey? I mean, but we actually need this in our production environment. Therefore, it might be worth always returning production builds with Go work off.
Yeah, but then
Yeah,
you don't use
that.
it.
Yes, we could do that. If at all we need that, we could do that. We should still check it in maybe, and then say this Go work off. If we get into that kind of a situation.
Mm-hmm. So what? Yeah.
Yeah. So my mind is that probably we should try with your Go work thing, put it as a draft PR, push it in, and see how it behaves. If it behaves in certain way, then enable this Go work off onto that draft PR and see how it behaves. And then the third path is just replace. I think probably that's what I would suggest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where my mind is at, because I have a feeling without knowing much about this feature, it looks like this is meant for this kind of purpose.
Yeah, it's built for this purpose. Yeah, but yeah, I'm using it typically for myself, so I'm not used to it with a big environment itself. So that's why I'm not very comfortable yet. How it's used. What I also see, Bala, is nobody in the big projects. So there is 2 projects is using it. So that's a bit scary, I think.
Yeah.
Now, of course, right? So that's why I would be a bit hesitant to check in the Go work file at this stage, because if you can make it work without checking it in, that's also good, right? And then do some more research before we add this go.work file. That would be my take on this thing. You see?
Yes.
Because if none of the big projects uses it, then I'm a bit skeptical. if it was using Kubernetes and kept, okay, I would have no problem. But at the moment, none of them uses it. You see? And they use, and it's also multiple Go mod files inside of the thing. So that gives me some hesitation. You see?
Yeah, I understand. So that's why I was suggesting, let it make the draft PR, play with it. If it doesn't
So
work,
what I will do is, I suggest we do is I take interface function without go work. So make it work, right? With the replace stuff.
Okay.
Don't check in the go work, right? So I have that, and then see if that works. Then we can use that for now, right? So that's one, because then you can always build and do a relative directory build for that function, and you're fine, right? And then I'll do a separate PR with the go.work file to use that in the main file and see, and people have to look at that and see how it works out. Is that not the way forward here, Bala?
Yeah, that's fine too. Yeah, that's fine.
We do it in 2 steps.
Yes, we'll do it in 2 steps. Either anyway, 2 steps is fine. My intention was, okay, you already did with Go work, and let's see if it works. But if you think, you have a great point too, because if two big projects that we saw, if they are not using it, so I also
it's scary.
that point. Yeah. I think let's do that.
Yeah.
And then probably we had to coordinate with this T.
Yeah, I will talk to him tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
I'll take it from there. All right.
Yeah, it
cool.
was a very useful discussion, actually. If I'm not deciding not to have a meeting and then having one.
So if we still have time, so I would like to just discuss another idea. So
Sure.
Yeah, good.
So it's something that I just noticed in the Free5GC project. Basically, all the steps that they are going through to test everything, like especially building images and doing all these things. I just noticed that there is like a interesting use case if you are aware of the KO tool. I mean, it's mostly for testing and all, so I'm not trying to replace anything. So, but basically, with that tool, avoids certain steps. When we go to the interesting part. So, in this particular PR, what I'm saying is just adding like a new way to deploy things. So basically, you have like your kind cluster, or you don't have it. So, but the interesting thing is this particular piece. Like, so with this tool, basically, you can apply, and as you can see, you don't have like to build and push your Docker image. So basically, saving some steps and also dependency, because you don't require like a registry. So, and the annotation that you have to have in your YAML file is this one. So it is following like the same concept of build packs. So it's basically removing the Docker files dependency. Yeah, I don't know if guys, I kind of controversial thing, because basically what they're saying is like eventually like managing multiple Docker files could be a headache, especially in those large deployments. I'm not sure, like, but yeah, basically this is the major like change that. So I don't know if you have been playing with a KO before, like, but yeah, for these cases, like it's pretty nice, because for example, with if you're developing and you're testing things, so you don't need to, so it just reduces the development process, like covering all the aspects and especially building and the container files and everything. So I just propose it as an additional step. So I'm not trying to replace existing ones. So if someone prefers to use the Docker build method, like with all the additional steps, it's fine. This is more like an additional method to do it.
So what does this Docker build basically, KL?
Yeah, that's replaced the need of like, if I remember correctly. And so you have to create, like, you write this tree, you have to build and push.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So
yeah, that's actually all generated by Q Builder, but yeah, we were using basically the Q Builder mechanisms of doing this.
yeah. So in this particular case, you can avoid these two steps, and the deploy is going to be made on the kind cluster. Like, just try to put like everything that is needed here, like the creation of the cluster, like the setup, like installing Multus and waiting for the dependency. But basically from this point is pretty much the same. So
Okay.
you customize to build everything that is needed and integrate with the cluster.
Okay. Oh, so you okay.
So
That would be, so they push it into, or they push it based on what you have in your make file anyway. So it's not like they dump it in, not dump it into like a local registry or anything.
it's a local registry in the kind cluster.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, you have a root.
And so where do they get the Docker or where do they get the build info from?
Yeah, all the Docker files, steps and instructions are like auto-generated, like so they're like following kind of a standard procedure, like, so it's kind of tricky because it's for use cases where you are following a traditional build. So I think if your Go build is like has additional steps, or like is not following the traditional build process, probably this is not a use case. But for now, as it is, like, we can definitely use it.
Because we have a different Docker file, or at least for the function, we have a bit of a different Docker file than you have for a controller.
So yeah, that was my question. So is there any particular base Docker file? I think Rado was, I vaguely remember, was he considering creating a base Docker file for our images?
He has to create a separate one for function because the path that is used is very specific for functions.
Okay, one for function.
So the SDK, yeah, so there is going to be, but it can be all the same, right? So that's not a problem. But the function one, the entry point is very dedicated in the file.
Yeah, probably this is like the image that they have under the covers, like following kind of the best practices and try to using resourceless outputs.
Yeah.
So
but I'm assuming, Victor, that you can customize a Docker file somewhere that you say, please, and use this, right? So it doesn't have to be one for all, but it can be. Is it not the way you could use this? I mean, I've used it, I've looked at it before, but I haven't really experienced it.
Yeah.
Could you not basically say migrating from Docker file? Because somehow you have the file. Could you not have something? Is there nothing that you can reference something that he imports and then use it for the build? I'm migrating to KO.
Like adding additional steps, or like, yeah, I don't know, like maybe we need to ask them. Yeah. And maybe it's just like for developing purpose. So I can definitely ask him to see if we can use it for more advanced use cases.
See, these are all abstractions on top of abstractions, right? So I see. For me, the way I look at it is an abstraction is good from the moment you have a good sense of what you're doing. At the moment, we are still in a mode of figuring out what to do, and then an abstraction sometimes hinders you. But yeah, I'm not familiar or experienced enough to give a reasonable comment.
Yeah, Victor, probably, yeah, having a chat with Radu maybe also be helpful. Don't know where, what he was mentioning about the.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
for now, the way that I just proposed it is like an additional way. Like I'm not trying to replace anything. So
No, it could be the way, right? That's why maybe, unless Stephen, if you have any other suggestions, other than probably talking about.
Yeah, no, I mean, we can make a discussion obviously on Slack. It doesn't, I'm actually very surprised it doesn't use the Docker file directly on the subdirectories, right? Why would it know how to build it otherwise?
yeah, well, actually, the only argument that I have heard, especially not from this community, is for the build packs community, is a use case when definitely you have like a tons of Docker files and eventually you discover like a vulnerability in one of the base images, and you have to manage that particular case, like like building all the Docker files from different places, like so that's why the build packs community is like avoiding to use Docker files at all, like but yeah, I'm agree with Wim. So obviously,
we used to write very complicated Docker files in the beginning, and then now we want to simplify it further, and then now you just want to not have it, have a common one that it works for everybody. I don't know. It's very interesting, because in a long time ago, I've seen very, very complicated Docker files,
yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't have a very strong opinion on this. For FreeFileGC, it's basically just one Docker build. So if you replace it and have a standard Docker file that works for FreeFileGC, that would be fine. But then for everyone else, I think there will probably be a lot of variations.
Well, but for me, it's the same, right? I mean, I need also one. So we will need one for the specializer. And my view, they should be the same as the FreeFileGC one. Because I just have a main, and I just need an image, right? And that's it.
It's just Go and you just need
Go
mod.
You copy Go mod file, and this is the traditional thing. So for the specializer, I'm using the traditional QBuilder one, right? So without any changes.
Yeah, no, we didn't change anything either.
And then for the function, they have their own Docker file because the entry point is different. I think in controller in the QBuilder it's /manager or something. So there it's like /SDK /functions or something like that. So they have a dedicated path that they use.
Right.
And if you don't use it, port.
No, I could see that because the orange 3.5GC UPF particularly, it's actually a different entry point. But then they would rather use the config map to reroute the entry points instead of actually changing the Docker file. It's a very interesting choice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Really?
Yep. Well, no, actually no. So the pod specs points to a different entry point that actually is from the config map. So yeah. So they would rather do that, which is interesting.
Okay, but that's for the base image, I think, right? So is that not for the base image that they would use?
Base.
Okay, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
That seems to be more for the base image that they would download in order to not use a regular repo, but just to say I have a private image or I have a dedicated image coming from somewhere else. I don't know. I mean,
no. So in that particular case, they want to execute a script in the container itself. Oh, so this is actually not really even Docker related. This is actually related to the entry points of the executing the first command off of the pod. The idea is when they're inside containers, when they want to execute a script off of a container, but then they don't want it to be init container for some reason. So they give an entry points off of a config map that they would load. So you have to, well, I mean, the pod wouldn't even come up with the config map in the first place. So they're guaranteed to have it if they're up. So
Interesting.
it's an interesting way of doing things, but you know, we did it the same way because we kind of copy what was done by the already.
And there's no point in reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so you can, I mean, I welcome new tools if you know a little more, and if it makes life easier. And then you can post it and talk about it on Slack if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Victor. I appreciate that, and also check with the Rado ones as well. And just because if he's doing something in the similar, I remember he was saying something. I may be wrong.
Okay.
All right.
At the hours. Anything else?
We consumed our meeting.
I know, amazing. we were going to cancel it, and then we took the full hour.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks all.
Thank you guys. Well, see you guys basically either tomorrow or Wednesday.
Probably. Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.